Right now, a scammer can copy your voice in 3 seconds of audio. That's it. It only takes 3 seconds. And here's the scary part. Voice cloning has crossed the line where people can no longer tell it's a cloned voice or if it's the real thing. It is incredible. And I have a personal story I'm going to share with you on this one later on in the video, but there is no way to tell. Think about it, right? You probably own a firm or you're part of a firm. You have tried to grow that firm, whether it's podcasts, webinars, client calls, even your voicemail greeting. If it's more than 3 seconds, it technically could be used to clone your voice. And guess what? All of this is online in many cases. To a hacker, it is not about whether or not they can get the data. They can get the data. It's about taking that data and training their models so that way it is truly indistinguishable from reality. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how they're targeting and why they're targeting RIA firms in 2026 and 2027. And I can't even imagine what 2028 is going to be like. Voice spoofing, phone spoofing, fake video calls, the real tactics that they're using so that way you don't have to sit there and say, it happened to us. I want to make sure I remove that completely from that. And the only way to do that is by teaching you what they are actually doing. How are you doing? My name is Harrison Barron from Secure Wealth IT. We're an MSP. We are a managed service provider. We are basically an IT company on steroids, helping financial firms, making sure that they are cyber secure, making sure that they are trained on things like phishing and spoofing and all that, as well as making sure that your system works the way that you want. Whether you're bringing on a new employee, your printer's working, the last thing that you want is your computer or system to not work when you're in front of a client. If you'd like to learn more about us, you can head over to securewealthit.com. We have a ton of information, who we are, what we're doing, how we're doing it, all that good stuff from our services to the industries that we service. And we have a ton of resources in there. We have resources that you can go download to help you, whether it's being up to date on the regulation S&P, the June 3rd deadline, which this will be out after June 3rd, Redtail versus Wealthbox, and we're constantly working on new stuff. Also, we're not designers. I'm working on some new images for these, but bear with me here. And if you want to, you can go grab our finance calculator. You can go use it instead of calculator.net. You put in the core information and you can actually see what the data looks like. It's a little nicer than calculator.net, trying to make something super unique for financial firms. So let's talk about, unfortunately, why you are the target. Because hackers are not dumb, right? There is three main reasons they pick you guys, RIA firms specifically, because there are plenty of other financial firms, banks and things like that. But banks have tons and tons of money and tons of staff in many cases, right? But they like RIAs because they're typically a little bit on the smaller side, and many of them don't have a MSP or they don't have internal IT support to help with these things. So the three main reasons. One, you move money, specifically big money. A single wire can be 6, 7, potentially even 8 figures or more. One good hit pays for their entire year or multiple years. Now, they don't particularly care if they get 5,000 or 10,000. Obviously, they want more money, but they know that a wire can be huge, and that is really, really important. Two, you operate on trust, and they love to exploit trust. Your clients do what you say to do because they trust you, right? That's the problem with this, is they are going to exploit that trust, and they are going to try to use that trust to attack your clients and build into this fake person who they say is you, right? That's the worst thing in the world. And then three, and this is the big one. Like I said, you're small. You don't have the 20, 30, 40, 50 person security team. You don't have the huge staff for that. You're an advisor. You have an ops person, maybe. You have an assistant. You don't have the help that you might need, as well as the enterprise level security, a SOC team, a security operations center, SOC, that's our terminology, right? You are small enough to have gaps. That is the biggest thing, and they know that. And this is not rare, right? This is happening all the time, and it's only going up. Just in 2025, if I remember correctly, it's been up about 1,200%. Actually, my crazy story happened to me in 2025. I'll be getting to that. And voice cloning is now the #1 AI fraud attack. So I want to give you some ideas on how you can actually avoid this, but I had to tell you why you're the actual target. So let's talk about tactic number one. It is called voice spoofing. Now, this is what I mentioned in the beginning. 3 seconds. That's all it takes. They can grab your audio information. They could record a phone call and just pretend to be somebody interested in what you're doing. You're going to have a conversation. Oh, who are you? Where do you work? What do you do? Let me hear a little bit more about you. Okay, yeah, we typically set up a consultation. They're going to get you talking for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Maybe you recorded a webinar, a podcast that you used, or maybe it's living on your website. They're just going to extrapolate all of that information and put it into their training system. And at some point or another, they're going to use that to train their model. That's the craziest part, or their tool, right? That's the second thing. They grab that, they plug it in, and typically, pretty quickly, usually in an hour or so, they can replicate you and your voice to be exactly what they want it to be, indistinguishable from who you actually are. That's the craziest part. Now they're going to try to find ways to get in front of your clients, whether that's authorizing wire transfers, verifying bank accounts, or just verifying accounts in general, pretending to be you, right? That's the craziest part. And your clients don't know it. Or even worse, they might pretend to be your client and they're calling you to have you transfer the money to a potentially new account. And the third thing is they're going to call. They're going to try to figure out who they can actually crack in this entire process. Some cases, it might not be you watching this video. It could be your ops person, your admin assistant. It could be somebody else in the organization that isn't quite as prepared or is watching videos like this one. And by the way, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell. But this is happening in mass overseas, sadly. An employee gets a call from somebody overseas, typically, and sometimes it's even happening stateside. They're pretending to be the CEO, somebody important in the business. They're asking to transfer X amount of dollars into potentially another account. And because their voice is so good now, you're just like, yeah, it's probably them, right? And if they can guess, it's just a guessing game. They can find all this information out on Facebook and LinkedIn and see who they are and, talk about the kids and all that kind of stuff. It's not very hard for them to do. It's kind of insane. They get this good and they practice this much, they are eventually going to get somebody. Picture this. You pick up the phone and it's you talking to you. It's not actually you. That's the craziest part. And if your clients aren't prepared, it's even worse. The second tactic that they're using, phone spoofing. And now the way that they got me is a combination of tactic 1 and tactic 2. Phone spoofing is when you look at your phone and you say, it says probably spam or spam caller or maybe Tony, whatever it actually is, right? Sometimes it'll say a business is calling you. But the craziest part is you look at it and you go, oh, okay, right? You don't even realize it comes up, sometimes your caller ID, and phone spoofing is they call through a different number. I don't know all the technicalities, but basically they're jumping it around to make it look like a different phone number. And it looks real. And I've checked it. When I've gotten spoof called, I checked and typed in that number, and it was the number that showed up under that caller ID. That's the craziest part. Now, my story, like I said, is a combination of 1 and 2. I got a phone call last year. I ended up at a bank with $5,000 in cash because the local police department, the local sheriff's department, called me saying I had a warrant out for my arrest. I thought that was kind of interesting. They told me, hey, you missed federal jury duty. You have a warrant out for your arrest. You have to come bring us down, bail or whatever it was. I truly don't remember because former Eagle Scout, former firefighter, I try to do the right thing all of the time. I thought that was kind of weird. Check the number. It was the same phone number as the local sheriff's department. And I was like, that's crazy. Now, I don't check the mail all that much. I typically do everything digital. I'm a techie, right? 100% probably could have happened. Gonna have to figure it out. Let me go pay and then I'll hire a lawyer and just they could deal with it, right? I'm not a bad person, but there's 100% chance I probably could have missed that piece of mail. Not maliciously, it just happened, right? Now I'm texting my wife and she was smart enough to call our local police department and said, hey, my husband apparently has a warrant out for his arrest. He's going down to the bank to get money. Can you verify that he's actually under arrest? And they immediately said this is a huge, huge, huge scam. He's probably not under arrest. They looked up my name. I was not under arrest. I had no violations, nothing like that. Like I said, I'm trying to be a pretty good person. But they had a person call me from the sheriff's department. And when I spoke to them, they had a thick southern draw. Now, Secure Wealth IT and myself are located in Charlotte, just west of Charlotte, in a little town called Belmont. It is not uncommon where I live to talk to somebody with a thick southern draw. So I saw the sheriff's department was calling me. Sometimes they call for a local candidate or something like that that they want to do, or they're running a fund drive, and it's not terribly uncommon to get a phone call or a mass call from them. I pick it up and, hello, is this Harrison speaking? Hi, you're under arrest. We want to let you know this, whatever it was. I don't remember the exact conversation. And I was totally caught off guard. It sounded like somebody who I had probably bumped into at the local grocery store, potentially at church, whatever it was. It sounded like somebody who could have lived locally. Now, I will never know who that person actually is, but it sounded believable. It sounded so believable that a cybersecurity person was like, okay, I mean, maybe, texting my wife, go to the bank, the whole nine. I could not believe how good it actually was. Will I ever fall for it again? Absolutely not. But if somebody is not trained for it, it was the right phone number, it sounded super real, I could not believe it. And if I could potentially fall for it, I can only imagine somebody who's not prepared for it. That is the scariest part about this entire video. So let's talk about tactic number 3, because the first two are terrible, but the third one is fake video calls. Now, there's a thing called deep fakes in our world. You may have seen it on the news. It's pretty interesting, but basically they take a photo or video of somebody and they grab it and they use technology to make it move and act like another person, including the voice. So it's a picture of, I don't know, George Washington, and he's having a conversation with you, but it's not actually George Washington and it's not AI. It's technology that's using somebody else's body language and motion and voice to capture and reproduce it as George Washington. It is the craziest thing in the world. It's called a deep fake, and they are getting so good that they are also almost indistinguishable. So getting a fake video call from somebody using deep fake technology to say that who they are could easily open yourself up to an attack, a vulnerability, a transfer, because we think about it and we see a FaceTime, we go, I know exactly who that person is. And it feels crazy because you go, huh, I know that person. Maybe something's a little off, but maybe they're a little sick, they're a little under the weather. Who knows? That's the craziest part about it, is we believe that because we can see them, it's real. And they are getting so good that it's actually not. The face moves correctly, their hands move correctly, the voice matches correctly. Everything looks real. Now, I'm using obviously an over-exaggerated George Washington, but this can happen with literally anybody. I encourage you to look up deepfakes as soon as this video ends. It will blow your mind. And number 5, AI emails. The last one, it's quick, I promise. AI emails are crazy. The fake emails get smart. The old emails were easy, bad grammar, weird spelling, dear customer. AI killed all of that. AI can learn from emails, the way people write, how they write, the way they present online, all of that, and they can make it feel super real. A real person from a real company. That's the craziest part. They are getting so good that it'll talk, it'll sound, it'll feel, it'll be the right punctuation, all of that from that person. And now if they combine several of these, it becomes arguably indistinguishable for you to know exactly who you're talking to and what they actually want. It is crazy. So now that we're at the end of the video, the last golden nugget. How do you make it stop? I promise you the goal of this video is not to scare you, but it is to paint a realistic picture. But here's how you fight back. None of this is inexpensive. They are putting tons and tons of money to make it work. And it does. It works on a ton of different people. But the first thing that you can do, believe it or not, is set a code word for any potential money, movement, anything like that. You can have a code word. Your team confirms it with a private word, or you set up a rule with your client and say, hey, we just need a code word when we're having a conversation. We're just going to ask you for it and make it something that maybe a hacker or scammer wouldn't guess right off the bat. You could just say, what's your code word that we agreed upon? It could say, I love my dog Hunter. A code word sentence, right? It is so incredibly easy, but it can't be something that hackers going to know right off the bat. It can't be, hey, what's the code word of your child, right? And it's the name of your kid. It has to be something a little bit more complex that they aren't going to get. It sounds crazy, but I promise you it is becoming a necessary thing. In my family, we have a thing where we have to verify now because my grandmother got a phone call saying that, rest in peace now, but saying that I was, I think, also in jail. I promise you there's no running theme there, but the hacker wanted money. She's texting my mom, trying to figure it out. My mom calls me. I'm sitting at my desk. I'm like, no, I'm not in jail. I'm sitting at my desk working. What's up? And it's that crazy. But that person, this is going back to 2024, sounded just like me and even had me screaming in the background, her words, not mine, saying, hey, I need help. I need help. That's the craziest part is they are going through the extent to try to scam people. Second, call back on a known number. If you get a phone call from somebody and you have that conversation or just say, hey, give me 2 minutes, let me call you right back. You hang up and you call their known number, you have now removed that scammer because they could spoof that number. It's so simple. Hey, sounds great. Let me give you a call back. Especially for compliance, call them on a tracked or compliant number so that way you don't even have to worry about it. It's crazy. And then third, kill the urgency. They're using urgency as a weapon. If you can take a deep breath and slow down, trust me, scammers are super anxious. They feel weird trying to scam people for money, whether or not you believe it or not. Make them wait. Hey, give me 5 minutes. Once again, just call them back. It's the easiest thing in the world. And the fourth and most important thing, train your team. I promise you it is worth it. Train your team, let them know, share this video with them, let them know what's actually going on. Use the tools that you have because those tools that you have help with compliance, Regulation S, SMP, and your WISPs, right? Putting that in there. What are the approved forms of communication? Written Information Security Plan is what a WISP stands for. Hey, we have to call every client back. They call us, we call them right back on our business line on a known phone number. We do not take phone calls from any of our clients from a non-known phone number. It is that important. It takes 2 minutes to verify somebody who they are and what they do, and it takes 5 or 10 minutes to have a wire fraud go in the wrong direction. I promise you it is worth it. I hope you guys found some value in this video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, notify, and I'll see you on the next one.